Hi, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question. We're doing the video outside today, getting some fresh air. It is a wintry day here early in the season, but we're zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is how to deal with a lot of the sort of feeling of loneliness after you are coming out of a toxic relationship. And it kind of makes you feel stunted, and you feel that you're, I think for this viewer, that their previous inner circle is sort of being removed for them. And when we are talking specifically about a relationship where there has been a narcissist involved, and they sort of have that sway over other people in your circle of influence, your circle of friends, your family, and they are sort of maneuvering people out of alignment with you. In other words, trying to block you, the old C block, whatever it is, it has that sort of feeling when they are trying to triangulate you. A narcissist will always seek to surround themselves with people who serve like as a cushion, a buffer, to allow them to sort of be the top of the heap, the top of the triangle. And they will use this force of triangulation and crazy making oftentimes to get more on their side, more people, more opinions, more people agreeing, giving them the center of attention. And they will oftentimes be quite blatant with this, meaning it becomes very apparent or obvious. However, the issue is this: if you don't know about this dynamic before, sort of feeling this hurt that comes from being sort of shut out, isolated from your group, from your circle, from your family, from your friendships, maybe from your band, your church group. It might be a very specific group that you belong to, and they're just sort of edging you out. It is the ego, the narcissistic ego, which has a pathological sense of self-importance coupled with a lack of empathy that will sort of seek to edge out people who serve as competition, who present a sort of threat to them subliminally or subconsciously, even though you've done nothing wrong, even though you're just being yourself and you're good at being yourself. Just because you're happy, you're advancing in your career, you're advancing in your relationships, you might have a new pet, you might have a new car, you might have a new job, a new thing that you're doing, and you're all excited, and you get nothing but sour milk. They're reflecting back sort of the impoverished mindset, reflecting back to you that it's no big deal, it's not important, it's they just don't want to hear about your strides moving forward. So your strides become even smaller, and people then sort of get that sort of low confidence, that low self-esteem. They get that sort of downward cast and downward spiral mindset, feeling very gloomy, very sad, and then they try to sort of fight back, try to mirror that negative energy. Mirroring the narcissist's negative energy, and I hope you guys can see me in this video. I just sort of impromptu here. Because I feel for this viewer here. And if you're in that sort of energy where you're feeling like you're being shut out from your circle, the relationships that you have previously built, the connections, the laughter, all that you feel is sort of either being removed for you, or it is being sort of blocked for you. They're telling them things. They're pointing the finger. They're talking about you behind your back. This is known as triangulation or splitting. And you feel that there's really sort of a wall of tension that is edging you out. And so realize that the ego, EGO, edging God out. So that's what a narcissist will do. They put themselves above and beyond, people, especially who are rising up, or present an unrealistic, even though it's unrealistic, it presents a threat to them, that you can be different, that you have different skills, talents, happiness, a spectrum of feelings that are threatening to them, and so they will push people away. It can feel like a wall is coming up of tension. And so, realize that you do not have to fight back, explain and justify yourself, to try to get yourself back in and do damage control and repair the relationships that you had previously built. But furthermore, it's important to understand that you have to be wiser within, and acknowledge and validate to yourself when you see this coming up. And rather than giving up hope, feeling that things won't change, or that you're losing all these relationships and you're feeling very lonely and isolated, look at it in a moment. And I love this word that a viewer gave back, and that is that of a moment of solitude. So coming within, there is nothing wrong with feeling a sense of yourself. Rather than interpreting it as a issue, a problem, something that you can't handle, or that it's very painful. You might feel very painful, when they're sort of trying to, tilt things so that it's all about them, and then you're like on the, on the teeter-totter, where, they're all the way up and then you're all the way down, and you just kind of feel like you're going splat. And so realize that this is just a defense mechanism that the narcissist will use to elevate themselves. Remember that the narcissist craves attention, they crave power, and they crave control over others. That is what they do. It's not a sometimes thing, it's generally an all the time thing. So if you are one who is rising up in your life, you're taking a step up, you are advancing, you're growing, you're finding what makes you tick, you're getting your life in a good place, and this is then oftentimes perceived as a threat to a narcissist. Even though somebody who's stable, secure, is okay with other people succeeding, they're not in that sort of narcissistic competition, trying to knock people out. We see this in sports games. I mean, that's a sport game, though. We're talking about your life. We're talking about your inner circle. It's like trying to remove you from that and make you feel as if you don't belong or have a part anymore. And this can also, occur in family gatherings. And I hope you guys can see and hear me. I usually don't edit the videos, but I do want to assist you when this comes up. Kind of back yourself up rather than going into the abyss of, feeling sad, depressed, feeling that you just have to give them more attention, because that's the usual response, that people want to fight back, or they just sort of put up and shut up, and they go around feeling small, feeling meek, feeling invisible, feeling unheard, and feeling that they're just sort of watching and they're not an active participant. Rather than going down that slippery slope, I would highly recommend that you acknowledge and validate the tactics and the manipulation methods of a narcissist. That this energy, and it's not that, don't take it personally, and it's not that they don't like you or that you're worthless or something of that nature. It is just their mechanism to elevate themselves from a threat, that's how they process these situations. And it seems very strange that the narcissist would have jealousy and envy, especially when they act that they're the thing, and you think that they would, if that their inner life would reflect their outer life, but oftentimes there is a disconnect. What you see from a narcissist on the outside is not what's always going on in the inside. So there's, other things going on which you are feeling, and what you're feeling is a projection or a transference of their fear, within themselves. You are picking that up like a radio. And so you are then processing it because they're pushing the energy out. This is the quantum field. Thoughts are things. So if you are that element, realize that is their energy. That is their mental process that you are picking up on, and that you are seeing the body language. You're seeing the sort of manifestation of their insecurity, and it's on you as if you're the screen. Does that make sense whatsoever? I really want you to understand, especially as the holidays come up and you have more gatherings with people who you have not seen in a while, you might stumble upon and encounter these feelings. Why don't they want to talk with me? It's very obvious that they're talking over in this circle. They're trying to put themselves in the best light. And oftentimes, to put themselves in the best light, they need to put others in a negative light. But rather than feeling that you don't have a chance, you don't have a shot, first of all, realize that this is a defense mechanism of a narcissist. Once again, I'll harken back to the explanation that if, for example, if you are a builder in New York or Chicago or LA, and you want to have the biggest, best building with the shiniest windows, you can easily, go and build your building and in where the other buildings are shorter. Or do you see what I'm saying? Or zone it out so no one else can build up, and your building is 20 stories higher and you've got the biggest and the best and no one can compete. It's a competitive narcissistic mechanism. Rather than allowing others to shine their light, they'll try to dim them and put a lampshade over them so that they can't be a contender for attention, for laughter, for conversation, because that could mean equality, or it could mean to them, you could have a funnier story, you could have a bigger job, you could have the new car, you could have the new baby. Do you see how they try to dim the light of others to brighten their own? And oftentimes people pick up on that. Don't fall for the bait. Realize that this energy is nothing but a defense mechanism, and for the narcissist to protect themselves. So rather than feeling their hot air sort of pushing you away, get a visual. Think of them as just blowing up a balloon, and all this tension that you feel is just really coming out of them like a big balloon. And make the image sort of funny. So rather than feeling pushed away, imagine them blowing all that hot air, all that edging out into a balloon that's getting bigger, to the point that it's like a 9-foot balloon coming out of their mouth. They're blowing up a lot of hot air so that they can black out others, because others are interpreted as an obstacle to them, even though you're not, even though you're just part of the thing, you're part of the family gathering, you're trying to catch up. They don't want you to get a word in edgewise because, to them, you present as a threat or a deterrent to their light. So it can be very painful and very uncomfortable. And I feel for you. So get some images. Realize the cause is creating this effect. Don't take it personally. Realize that it's a defense mechanism of the narcissist to give them a cushion, a buffer, to put them up on the top of the triangle. And they might whisper things that are trying to knock you down. For example, you got a new car and you're excited about it. Oh, well, and they'll just sort of things always break down, they'll just sort of to try to downplay your accomplishments, or try to sort of whisper things in your ear in conversation, that it's not that cool, it's not that funny, it's not that great. They'll try to downplay your accomplishments, or even whisper the worst. It won't last. It's not true. You're not doing that great. They'll just sort of whisper threats in your ear, if you will. And they're very adept at this because they do it all the time. And so it's very difficult for people who don't do this sort of banter with others to understand the why. Why would you do this to me? I'm an innocent bystander, and they'll try, but because it's a defense mechanism, if they can break others down and sort of build up that paranoia, the insecurity that they're feeling, and put it onto you, hey, look who comes out with no paranoia. Do you see how they displace it? They transfer it from deep within them, and and so they'll sort of clean out their situation and put the muck, especially on specific others. Don't take the muck. Realize that you've got your own space. You've got your own, solitude and serenity and perspective. And solitude meaning coming from a place of serenity and peace, and not as an adversary, meaning you come in peace. And the peace you have is within, and you don't need to give that up because they're resorting in these defense mechanisms. Get a sense of the peace, a real physical, tangible sense of the peace, security, and serenity and personal alignment and freedom that you have within. Make sure that stays active. So it's especially important to work on cultivating this feeling through your ritual practices, through studying through videos, through your recovery journal, through the recovery date, through the recovery gift, and priming your subconscious, clearing out your own environment from all the crap, and separating their energy from what is your energy, and knowing that it's not your fault. You're just sort of in the way. When they say, when you're around the narcissist and the S hits the fan, just step out of the way so their hot air is not landing on you. Just step out of the stream. Here comes the Gulf Stream of the narcissist tension. Step away. There it goes. Allow it to just sort of pass by you. And it's an inner mind state. Once you take ownership of your own physiology and know how important you are, so that you have not a narcissistic sense. A lot of viewers are feeling, what if I'm becoming narcissistic? It's a sense of valuing yourself and the clarity of your perspective so that you know better. It's like putting the clarity glasses on. Take the glasses of the fog that the narcissist is trying to shovel up or put in your way like a big obstacle. Just, take that off. Don't fall for their tactics, their antics. No, it's their way of blowing hot air, and that you don't have to get scalded, burned, or fear that your own ground is getting scorched. A lot of people feel that their ground is scorched and that they've lost bridges, they've burned bridges, they've lost connection. Realize, and just sort of circumvent and just sort of go around, and don't interpret their behavior as insultory, derogatory. Just kind of actually flip it to the other way, and just be sort of, realize that they're flattered. Take it almost as a way of a compliment, even though it seems very negative. It's a compliment because you've got something going on, and you deserve to take your life to the next level. Your intelligence, your knowledge, your relationships, your home, the trips you want to go, or just even the things you want to do on the daily, making better choices where you're elevating your sense of self. You're doing your meditation. You're developing spiritual ritual and practices. You're, taking therapeutic baths, men included. So your body, you're helping your body relax so you can create new muscle memory of what it feels to be strong, grounding yourself in nature, sending energy from the roots of your feet down into the earth, sending energy out, through the crown of the top of your head, all the way through the heavens, realizing you are possessive of divine and infinite intelligence. This is yours. It's your birthright. If you're watching this now and you're conscious, I mean, you have all this going on. The narcissist will not reflect this to you. They'll reflect back to you a negative mirror as if you're going through the house of horrors. Remember, back in the day, you might have gone to a restaurant or a funny house or a carnival where you walk in front of the mirror and all of a sudden, you're this fat or you're this tall. That's kind of like what it's like when you're passing by a narcissist. All of a sudden, your image of yourself is distorted. Realize it's that toxic reflection coming back that is caused by the narcissist as a defense mechanism. Walk away, restore yourself to your normal proportion and balance, and just know that you've got it. And proceed as usual and keep a little smile on your face in the meantime. And a smile in your heart, a pep in your step. Make sure you still have sharing with other people and just, reconnect. Don't let that stop you. It's your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help, and I hope you can hear me. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out. Have a beautiful day. Keep a warm heart and a warm smile.